Here at Buffalo Trace Distillery for another episode of Whiskey Wednesday, and this is going to be a really great episode. It's going to be a little different. We've got Mark Noon here, aging warehouse supervisor, and Mark, how's it going?
I'm doing great. I'm glad we're going live. I appreciate everybody that's attending. My name is Mark Noon. I'm the aging warehouse supervisor here at Buffalo Trace. I've been with Sazerac almost 5 years. I started off at Barton 1792 Distillery. I worked there for a year as a shipping supervisor. Got promoted and came here and worked under craft bottling for about a year and a half, and then got promoted once again, and I work under Harlan Wheatley and Patrick Klaus now up here at Aging Warehouse.
Very cool.
Been out here for almost 2 years in this role alone. So
very cool. So we did have a question already. We've got several questions that I'm gonna kick it off with some questions. So Gary Reinhardt on Facebook already asks, I'm interested in exactly what you do as an aging supervisor.
Well, that question's good, but it's also complicated. There's so much that goes on in this operation. We have a 50-man team. We don't just inspect barrels and fill barrels and roll barrels into warehouses. We're sampling barrels. We're dumping barrels. We're sending so many samples to the lab. I have four over-the-road truck drivers, semi-truck drivers. We deliver barrels to the farm up here on our site. In charge of DOT purposes with those semi-trucks. I'm in charge of their payroll. I'm in charge of morale, inspections, you name it. We could sit here and talk for 2 hours about it. It's pretty heavy.
So it's not just rolling a barrel in, letting it sit for 8 years.
I wish it was so easy. Yeah.
So, you know, I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna kick it off with some questions because we know once we get in here, it's gonna get loud.
Yeah.
It could get, you know, our connection could get a little crappy. So, you know, we're deep into it here at the distillery today. So I'm gonna ask some questions now. So Clyde Carter on Facebook, he does say, I hear Buffalo Trace is aged for 6 to 8 years. How long is it aged?
That's a good question. That's pretty accurate. 6 to 8 years. I will add to that, Eagle Rare is definitely aged 10 years. Special thing about Eagle Rare, not just that it's a 10-year, it's a great bourbon, but we don't dump it until its birth date. So once it hits that 10-year mark and we have approval, that's when we dump it. We can't dump it any time before or after. It's always on the birthday.
Yeah, so has to be at least 10 years. And we know there's a 20-year too.
Oh yeah.
And there's some old whiskey around here.
Absolutely.
Well, very cool. So one more. So it was, let's see, so Mitch Skinner, how often are barrels sampled during the aging process, and also do you rotate the barrels while they age? Okay,
so sampling happens literally as we get the juice from the distiller to make sure that's approval just to fill into the barrels. Sampling happens shortly after the barrels are put away. Sampling will happen various times throughout the barrel's life. As you know, benchmark is 4 years. That's probably going to be sampled a few times, 6 to 8 years, even more. In a 20-year barrel, that's constantly being monitored. We have a huge fleet team of people in the lab who have degrees that I can't even spell correctly. Sure. And so we have a full staff that takes care of all that. But our guys, our personnel, we sample every single day, all the time. Any barrel that's ever come through here has got multiple sampling holes drilled into it.
Yeah, and I had another question, and it was really about technology. And I'm sorry I've lost the person's name, but they asked a really great question about technology and about, are you using technology and an algorithm to basically figure out where the best taste is coming from? Okay. And I butchered the question, I'm really sorry, but it was something like that.
The only thing I can tell you is that we've been around for over 200 years. Everyone who knows our product well, you can't argue the quality that we have. And so I necessarily can't speak on the algorithm, but we have such a huge fleet of team members who constantly know what recipe we're on, where it ages clearly, in certain warehouses on certain floors. Absolutely.
Yeah, so a lot of history here, right?
Absolutely,
so it's like just by history alone, you pretty much know where some of the best flavors for certain brands. Every brand has a little bit different floor or different warehouse, just based on history.
Right, absolutely.
All right, great. So let's take a walk. We're going to go through this, and I'll warn everybody, it's going to get loud. Our connection's going to get a little spotty, but we're going to give it a shot.
Well, first of all, right here, you're all starting at the process where everything goes. So these barrels come from Cumberland Cooperage, and these barrels, there's 288 per trailer. Cumberland Cooperage is located in East Bernstadt, Kentucky. Not only do they make their own wood, they do everything on site. They inspect fully these barrels, they build them by hand, and then once they reach final inspection, these barrels are pressurized where they fill it with air and water to make sure that that barrel can withstand the years of aging. They load that onto a trailer where this is where this process now starts.
Gotcha.
So the quality alone.
So this truck just got here.
Just got here. So the quality alone from Cumberland Cooperage is phenomenal. And so now you immediately see. So this trailer just got here. What Ryan's doing there, we're testing moisture readings. So first 3 barrels of every trailer get moisture checks. He's looking for a range between 10 and 13 for moisture. He's also inspecting, so when you watch him rotate these barrels, it makes it look like he's having a really easy job, but he has a trained eye, just like every tech we have here, to inspect the barrels. What he's looking for is broken or cracked stays in the barrel itself. He's looking for knots in the head, and he'll sometimes find broken chimes down here. So that's exactly what he's doing. Once he inspects it, he's going to send the barrel on. If for some reason the barrel that's been inspected several times from Cumberland Cooperage and now inspected by us has a broken stave or a broken chime or a bunch of head knots, he'll mark it with a piece of chalk. He'll write what trailer number it came off of. He'll roll it right behind you. That's our reject area. We'll send that back to Cumberland Cooperage. They'll fix the problem, and then they'll cycle that barrel right back through.
Okay, great.
You want me to walk this way?
Yeah, if you want to, let's chase one of these barrels down.
Yeah.
I'll follow your lead, Mark.
All right, sounds good. So this is our branding shed. Our branding shed holds about 410 barrels apiece. 41 barrels a line, so 10 lines. This is going to lane 10.
Okay. So we've been in here before when it's been full. So this is probably end of the day run.
Right. So you're at an end of the day run, and you're also at an end of the season run. So this is pretty rare that what you're seeing today.
Okay. And so just say that again. How many barrels come through here?
So 410 barrels come through here just to make it full. We run over 1,000 a day. So we're constantly keeping this branding shed full. So you're coming off of probably refilling this almost 3 times a day just to keep everything whole.
Gotcha. And folks that are visiting the distillery, is this part of the tour? Can you come in here? I've seen some tour visitors, some visitors coming in over there on the very far side. So visitors can see this and witness.
No, this is definitely a first time. So if you've never been to Buffalo Trace, you're getting a treat. And if you've been to Buffalo Trace, you're getting a more treat because you only saw so much over there.
Okay, so you got a little glimpse. Now we're going in with the barrels. All right. So again, apologize if our connection craps out on us. I keep saying that. I should probably not say that.
So this tunnel holds about 17 or 18 barrels. The only time you'll see the barrels stop in the tunnel is just when it gets to the filler. Our filler, we hold 12 barrels, but we fill 6 at a time. And we fill about 250 barrels an hour.
Oh, wow.
But we have 6 fillers, and each barrel gets filled within about 30 to 35 seconds.
Hey, Mark, as you've been here a few years now.
Yeah.
Have you seen a difference in how we do things, or let's say, what about a difference in the quantity of barrels coming through?
Right, so I think when I first came out here, we were just doing maybe 800 barrels. And so 800 barrels to our crew now is an easy, laughable day. So our guys are pushing out at least 1,000 barrels a day. So the quantity of barrels is just never ending.
All right, so hopefully the connection stays, because this is one of my favorites.
So you can see Brett here is filling. He fills everything by hand. Now the automation will pop up once the barrel is filled. And then he'll hammer it in himself.
Every barrel is basically hammered by itself, by hand?
I can't hear you, what?
So he hammers in every bung?
Every barrel he has to touch, absolutely. And then he'll cycle right back through. and the fillers will pop up accordingly.
That's pretty cool. So these are basically all new make, brand new barrels, all filled up. Thank you.
Looking good, Brett.
It's always a treat to see that, you know.
So I'm going to take you all really quick to the brander. Every barrel that comes through, once they've been filled, we're going to brand them. The brander is automated. You're going to see black ink. We're running mash 1 right now, so the ink's going to be black. If we were to run wheat would be green. And if we were to run rye, that ink would be red. And if you can try to get a glimpse of the lot number, it's of today's date, but we label it 21F30. So that's 21 is the year, F is the letter of the month, and then 30 is the day.
Let's say that again.
21 is the year, F is the month, which is June, and then 30 is the day. So A is January, goes all the way to L, which is December. And so you'll always see that if you ever wonder, and I think a lot of distilleries do that, it's not just us. So if you're ever on a tour and you want to get see what a barrel looks like, that's what it will read.
All right, so should be a little less noisy out here. So we'll ask you some more questions once we get out here.
What's up, Clayton? So right here, one of our new entry barrels already has a wormhole.
Okay, I'm gonna just see this load. Okay.
So if you check this barrel, we've already inspected it, so this just shows you our quality control.
Oh yeah.
So a wormhole, and so Kevin here is going to repair it real quick. That way we can get it back up into the warehouse.
Will this just go back into here and
Straight
get loaded in?
Right back on the track. So what he's going to do for a wormhole fix is just punch it in.
So not all those little dowels that I see in the warehouse are people drilling
Right.
bells and taking samples.
Right. So
sometimes they're fixing.
Sometimes we're fixing them. Absolutely.
Yeah, I've noticed a few of those. I'm like, man, who's in here drilling all these barrels? Great. Yeah. So no leak.
So believe it or not, wormholes happen a lot, but they're also, as you can tell from the camera, they're really easy fixes.
Yeah.
But have to happen. Good job, big dog.
All right. So this track is always a little fascinating to me. I love seeing all the barrels just rolling through the distillery.
Yeah, yeah.
So we actually have a lot of questions. We got a lot of questions. So let's walk over here a little bit so we get some clarity. Mandy said, what's the temperature like that in the branding shed? Seems like it's hot and sweaty work.
It's extremely hot. So on a 90 degree day, it could be up to 100 degrees. It's the same thing for our warehouses, just to add to that question, especially on the farm. If it's 95 degrees, it's over 100 degrees in there easily.
Gotcha. So I'm just going through questions real quick. Just be patient with me here. So Nicholas Powers asked, what's your favorite warehouse? Do you have a warehouse that you've enjoyed working in over the years?
If I would, it would be on the farm, and it's EE. And when I became a supervisor after training in DD, they gave me EE as my first warehouse to supervise. So I would say EE, which they can't unfortunately see today, but that would be my favorite warehouse.
Okay, means something to you for sure. Oh, okay. Well, this is a little bit of a transition here. Well, let's say Lonnie Bryant asks, how many times does a single barrel get used?
Oh, so if it's a Kentucky bourbon, it's only used once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so where could it go? I guess it could go anywhere
The
from
cool
there.
thing is that I'll tell you a quick story. I went to Europe 2 years ago, and I toured a local distillery. I think it was called Sterling Irish Whiskey. It was like called the Heart of Dublin. And on the tour, there was a Buffalo Trace barrel right there from like 10 years ago that they were using to age. So they go from all over the world for sure, for rums, for tequila, for especially Irish whiskey is a big one.
This is a really interesting question from Joseph Monroe. I probably butchered it, Joseph. I'm very sorry. But how do you know what warehouse to put the barrels in, basically? He says, how do they know what warehouse to put it in, certain barrels?
So we monitor our inventory every single day. And so like for today, we're doing mash 1. And so we have a certain limit of mash 1 that we want to keep down here and not send to the farm. And so that's part of that allocation, is sending it to M, which was where we'll be walking towards.
Okay, so a lot of that is just where the barrels are needed.
Absolutely.
Unless,
yeah.
So is there a big difference in, okay, you told us in there, you got a wheated barrel, it's green, and a rye is red.
Yeah.
Do they have certain places they go, or again, is it just...
I'll give you an example, especially on the rye. A lot of the rye is at our new farm, so we have 10 warehouses up there. They're building the 11th, and the 10th one is already almost full, and a lot of the rye is actually aging up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically it's like, you guys know where to put them because of history.
Absolutely.
And when they get low in certain areas, you fill it back up.
Yep.
Great.
Absolutely. Yep.
Let's go see.
Yeah.
See some more barrels rolling here.
I think the rain's held off, which is nice.
We are lucky. It was definitely sprinkling earlier. So what warehouse are we looking at here?
All right, so this is Warehouse L, and I definitely want you to get a zoom on this. So,
okay.
Leonard Riddle worked here for 56 years.
Heard a lot about Leonard.
Longer than my dad's even been alive. And unfortunately, Leonard passed this past November, but Leonard is definitely a founding father. The operation that you see here, the aging warehouse, everything that we do now was all brought by one of the founding fathers, like I say, of Leonard. And we hope that he is pleased with the way we're running today. I got to know him just briefly the last year he worked here before he passed. And he's definitely a pioneer in this industry. They actually dedicated this building to him while he was still a full-time employee working every day by it. That was his favorite warehouse. He liked the way it aged. And it's more memorable now that he has passed, for sure.
It's really an incredible placement of the plaque. It's like he's still kind of watching over all the barrels.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I'm standing here, and he's like, all right, there they go. And
a few months ago, I can't remember the specific month, but we did a Weller barrel selected out of here and did a special bottling for him.
Very cool.
And which was super cool. Came out of his favorite warehouse. The warehouse is dedicated to him, so. And I definitely got a bottle, of course.
Yeah, that's a special one. That's a special one. Well, let's check in on some more questions. We've got quite a few, but I've been out here early mornings, late afternoons. Are we loading all day every day, or is there a certain time? Or
so we're mostly in this department. We're Monday through Friday, but we have certain amount of juice that we have to get constantly filled. But I'll give it credit, especially to the crew that works for me, all 50 of them. They're out here if it's blistering heat at 100 degrees. They're out here if it's raining, sleet. It was a foot of snow not that long ago. We're shoveling out of the trackway. What we do, believe it or not, once we're filling, if it's heavily snow or ice, we call walk barrels. We slowly walk barrels down the track to knock the ice off. And so this crew is out here in the heat. They're out here in the rain. They're out here in the snow. And they're pushing over 1,000 barrels, so each barrel weighs a little over 500 pounds. So a person's touching 1,000 barrels at 500 pounds every single day. So the credit definitely in our department goes to the people who work for us. I'm just a supervisor and hosting today, but they're the ones that, if you want to know the blood, sweat, and tears of this distillery, and you want to know the backbone of this distillery, it's this department, and it's all the people who roll barrels in this department, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, somebody's got to put these barrels in the right spot.
Yeah.
And we know all the barrels going in at the farm. 58,000 plus in every warehouse. working on warehouse 11 and 12 right now, I believe.
And they make it look too easy.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
They make it look way too easy.
Yeah, I think anybody that thinks that's an easy gig should come try it someday.
Absolutely.
All right, so I'm going to look for some more questions here. Matt King does ask, and it's a little bit of a repeat question, but I want to ask it for him. It's Mike King. Do you all rotate the barrels from high to low in the warehouses?
No, so whenever you see these barrels and they go into the warehouse, that's pretty much their home the entire time, that entire aging process.
So we've got an E.H. Taylor single barrel question. Is there big age differences between, say, small batch versus single barrel?
I don't really know the years as far as the difference as far as a single barrel and a small batch. Obviously, if it's bottled single barrel, it's coming from one specific barrel,
yep.
Whereas a small batch is a marriage.
You know, and we've done episodes with Drew and Harlan, and normally they'll talk about, like, it just depends on when it's ready. You know, it's like if the flavor profile, it hits a certain minimum year, you know, and if the flavor profile is spot on, it's ready. If it needs to wait, it'll wait. All right, so for me, I would love to get in this warehouse. I don't know if the connection will allow, but can we take a peek inside?
You want to go see it?
Let's go see it.
We're rolling barrels right now in the warehouse. Let's do it.
So a big part, just in case we do cut out, was there any closing statements you want to say to everybody?
It's just our product speaks for itself. I have tremendous pride every time I leave work. I wear a Buffalo Trace shirt, whether I'm in the grocery store just coming home or picking up my kids from daycare. And there's always questions asked. People are bombarding you with, oh my gosh, it must be. And it truly is. I'm prior service in the military, and to find a second job that you see pride, you see hard work, and you see dedicated people every single day. And through a pandemic, we're continually to only thrive and grow. I'm pretty much content with where I'm at. And if you've never been to Buffalo Trace, the only thing I can tell you is our site is extremely beautiful. It's free tours and tastings. I think with COVID, you still may need to sign up online to get your tour, but it's worth the drive, whether if you're from out of state or out of the country, which happens a lot, or if you're just right down the road. Just come spend a few hours here and you'll see exactly what all it's cracked up to be. And I'm just honored to do this with you today.
Great.
Very humble.
Well, thank you so much, Mark.
Yeah.
Let's go inside.
Let's go
inside. So we touched a little bit about your new favorite warehouse up on the farm.
Yeah.
And that we're building tons of warehouses.
Yes.
And Harlan did an episode a couple weeks ago, and we went up and saw the construction of a new one. There's a lot of barrels out here.
Yeah.
And the expansion process is pretty impressive, huh?
Yeah.
So I mean, just thousands and thousands and thousands more barrels every year.
Yep.
More whiskey coming on.
Yep.
So it's great, and I love seeing all these new barrels. You know, these are some of our favorite brands in the world. So it's really cool to see this process, and hopefully we'll get a deep dive inside, but no promises. So just in case it cuts out, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. This will be an extra treat if we can pull it off. So we'll go inside.
What's up, y'all? What's up, sleeves? Show them arms up. Oh, come on. Come on. These tattoos. You see these tattoos? Yeah.
Well, great. Let's go in.
This is Cody and this is Austin.
Hey, Cody and Austin.
We're going to wait for the elevator to come up.
Okay, great.
We're going all the way to the 5th floor, so you want to take the elevator on this one.
Is it pretty hot in there?
I would say, you know the temperature right now?
Outside?
Yeah.
I think we're about 85 today. So a little cooler day.
I would say it's about almost 95 inside for sure.
And lower, you know, we've done some warehouse episodes before. The higher floors and the lower floors, the temperature shifts quite a bit, right?
And heat rises.
Yeah, and heat rises.
Sure.
So at the top is the hotter ones.
So like prime example, because I had talked about the farm earlier and just how in the temperature and humidity. So if it's almost 100-degree day and you're on the 7th floor at the farm, it's easily, I mean, no argue, 115 to 120 degrees on the 7th floor.
Yeah, wow.
It's super hot. So these guys hydrating and giving them as much time in between barrels to rest as possible.
Yeah. No joke. So every brand, so we've learned over several Whiskey Wednesdays, about a year and a half of these now, that different brands come out of different floors because they age a little differently, and then they might get, mingled with, barrels from the top floor and middle floor and the bottom floor to make one of our favorite brands, or they could, come from the bottom floor. All of them. We've heard Pappy, our weeded ones come from lower levels and things like that in past episodes. So, yeah, I mean, and you guys do heat, so you're heating these warehouses in the winter?
Yeah, so ours are only controlled by heat through the distillery, and it runs off steam. Now, once the spring, pretty much if you go off the time chains, spring forward or fall back, that's when we either open the windows and let natural heat and air flow through,
Gotcha.
Or we close them and use our heating system. But right now, everything just has windows open and just natural air flows going through.
Right.
Hey, we're going to go up. If you want to load some barrels, we're going to go up with you.
So it's really a lot about airflow and temperature control.
It's huge, and that's also, we're not just talking about the life of the barrel here. We got to think about the ricks that they're being held in. All that is wood. So if heat and humidity is done improperly or not proper airflow, then your wood's going to crack, it's going to break. So
Gotcha.
the same thing it does with a barrel, it's going to do with your ricks as well. I'll close it for you.
So you guys you're basically bringing up barrels in this elevator alone, in this warehouse.
Yeah, so the cool thing is, because we've talked about expansion here at Buffalo Trace, so some of these elevators are 80 years old. So we're eventually going to be putting in some new barrel escalators or hoists coming through here.
Sure.
Makes us more efficient, more output. But for now, we're going to be riding some old school elevators for sure.
Yeah. These warehouses have been around a long time.
Way longer than I've been alive.
Yeah.
You've been alive. They're going to be here when we're long gone as well.
Yeah.
Which is also the beauty of it too.
How many floors is this warehouse?
This warehouse only has 5 floors.
Okay.
Yeah,
is that pretty typical?
Yeah. Well, this is a 6-eye warehouse as well. So not every warehouse in any distillery has 6-eye. So most warehouses are 3-high ricks.
Okay.
This you're going to see a 6-eye. So when these barrels get delivered to the rick, the operator will ride up with it. Okay.
Is that a standard in the industry, or is that just
6-eye is very rare. I don't know all distilleries that have them, but we for sure have 6-eyes here.
Just scoot back? I definitely don't want to slow these fellas down. I don't know that I could slow them down, but
thanks, Damon.
Thank you.
As you can see here, so Kelly's setting the chalk. All these ricks go off timing. Barrels don't just get put in like normal and they roll in. So we keep everything bung up, which is a huge quality thing because bungs will naturally leak. So they go off timing. So say if the first barrel goes in at 12 o'clock. So if you look at a clock, right, 12, 1, 2, 3. Well, for a barrel, it's counterclockwise. It's 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way around.
Okay.
So if you're putting it in at 12, your next thing is going to be at 4, and then your next thing is going to be at 8. So if it's 8 o'clock, the bung's going to be facing you, and you have to put it in properly through the rick. If you don't, the sets get off. That's why they'll do barrel counts. But where she places the chalk right now also dictates making sure that set is perfect.
So it's rotation. So you've got how many barrels on each rick? How many deep is that?
This rick is different because you can see the slant cut off. I'm pretty sure there's only 12 to a tier on this one.
So let's say 12. You got to roll in 12, and you got to make sure when they're done rolling, the bung's up.
Everything's got to be bung up. That's a quality check that they're supposed to do now.
And that's an art form to be able to understand that.
And like I said, these barrels are 500 pounds, and so when we come over here and you're seeing them rotate them and they're throwing them in, and Kelly, she'll cut it real easily. It's a lot harder than it looks. I promise you that. They're covered in sweat. The whole blood, sweat, and tears I said earlier, this is the crew. This is exactly what you're going to see.
And let's hope it doesn't cut out. It's pretty... Okay.
Hey, and believe it or not, Kelly and Kevin's a couple right there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I will show you this. Okay. If you want to talk about quality control, wormholes that we fixed already. This is a prime example of just constantly fixing the barrels. So I talked to you about how the cartridges, they fix them. They're controlled there. We inspect them, we fill them. This is where you'll see wormholes in the head. If you ever have a shifted head, that's when the juice is really flowing outside the head. We'll have to fix that by replacing the head completely. But they just switched to rick, so they're going to start ricking this. I'll get out of your way. But all that timing I talked about, how they spin the barrel, how they rotate the barrel, Johnny Brown's about to show us real quick.
Okay.
So what he's doing there, that's the safety measure. We just tighten the rick to the rick, or excuse me, the ricker to the rick itself.
Okay. So you're not running into
right.
it, flying
so,
around?
Because it will, you'll see it. The 6-eye test every tech out here for sure as far as heights go. Hey Dalton, can you make sure those barrels don't roll into us, please? And I don't remember what I was saying. I was making sure we're safe over here.
Okay, so let's strap.
So the one they just fixed,
yep.
They're going to go ahead and put that in. So this is all the same lot numbers, so there's no need to do anything on our end.
So he goes up with it. He's got to go up with it.
So that's why 6-eyes are so rare, because 3-eyes you don't go up with the ricker, but here you do.
Gotcha.
So the ricker placement's key right now too.
Okay.
So what he's doing, he's adjusting the dogs on the ricker itself. That just way you go to different platforms, different tiers. Obviously the machine needs to be adjusted every time you go to a different tier.
Yeah. So yeah, just knowing where to put the bung now so it ends up.
Absolutely.
When it rolls all the way down. That's got to be.
And if he's off, the people
what do you
on
do?
the rails will cut the barrel. They'll shift it to make sure that it's right, but if he keeps being off, they'll do a barrel count. They'll get onto him pretty hard because you're cutting barrels in the rails. That's a lot of work on your shoulders, and he'll adjust his count accordingly. See, Kevin's already adjusted just to make sure it rolls properly on the rail.
Right.
So she even shifted that with her knees.
Yeah, so she's lined it up.
She's saving her shoulders for sure. But she's making it look way too easy.
Yep.
But that's over 500
So she put
pounds.
the chalk, and so she shifted. She's good.
So what she'll do is, the chalk set on that, so what she'll do is she'll set a walking chalk. She'll put a chalk in between each barrel as they come.
Gotcha.
But the 2 chalks will always be there.
This one here,
Gotcha.
random side.
You can go ahead, Dalton. Hey, we're out of your way.
I mean, there's a lot going on right here when you fill one.
Absolutely, and then you got to think of quality. Our ricks are labeled, so the way you see the brand right now is how our rick is labeled. So if it's labeled on this side, the brand's got to be facing that way. So the brand's got to be correct, the bung's got to be correct, the leaker's got to be fixed. And just to add to what we're doing now, we're going to come back through here tomorrow, count what we did to make sure the count's correct, and we're going to leak hunt the barrels as well. So it's constant. When you asked about the repair, our earlier question, it's constantly being focused on. You want as much juice as possible to stay in these barrels.
Yeah. Please fix all the leaks.
Well, I can't. The angel share is what, 3%. I can't do nothing about that part, but we'll try to do our best on everything else.
Great. Let's walk right out there and we'll wrap this up.
Awesome. Sounds good.
You guys are doing awesome.
Thanks, guys.
I've been coming here a long time and I've never seen this. That's pretty cool. All right. All right, Mark, thank you so much. I'm going to spin around and switch your spots real quick. But thanks so much.
Yep.
It was really awesome. I knew it was going to be really special. You were telling me last week, hey, we're going to follow this barrel everywhere.
Absolutely.
So I really appreciate it. Hopefully we didn't have any technical issues.
Okay.
I didn't get any pecks on the shoulder or any text messages, so maybe it was okay.
Good, good.
But thanks again, Mark. This was incredible.
Thank you for the opportunity. I hope everybody enjoyed, and please come visit us at Buffalo Trace.
Great. Thank you, man.